Today we're going to discuss the target audience. I hope you're sitting down for this one because the audience that you think you want to serve may not be the one that God wants you to serve. I'm going to be using my notes, and so let's talk about it. Um, one thing that, uh, One story that comes to my mind is that God wanted Jonah to go to Nineveh and speak to a group of people. Well, Jonah didn't want to go. And so he ended up getting swallowed by a fish and dragged off to this target audience. So let's not get swallowed by any fish. That's my attempt at humor. Um, let's go ahead and get into this. There are two types of audiences that we deal with. One is the selfish audience, and the second is the owner's audience. All right. The selfish audience is an audience you seek because you want fame, you want power, you want credit for your talent. Um, you want to show those people who hurt you how great you are. That's a difficult one. Let's talk about that for a minute. Uh, the selfish audience, we'll use SA for that, is numbers driven. All right. They seek likes on social media, and they spend a lot of time on social media, just hours and hours at that. Okay. Number two, um, they're looks driven. When I say looks, I'm speaking more that they want to have it all together, and they really don't have it all together. So they try their best to fake it until they make it, and try to appear like they have it all together. The selfish audience seeker is also number three, fear driven. They went into business because maybe like a job loss or some kind of divorce or the family is broken up, broken relationships, weak, lonely, desperate. Um, so they're full of fear and they feel that they need that kind of support from an audience as opposed to understanding the fear. All right. Number four, they're impulse driven. They try the next thing without mastering the last thing. And so, um, they do a lot of stops and starts and they quickly throw away things versus testing things out with the audience and understanding how to overcome some of the adversities and learning from those adversities and improving on the product and service. All right. And then the last thing we're going to discuss is they are self driven. Um, this person is not a motivation issue. I'm talking about the person is absorbed in self and they want everybody to serve them. They want you want somebody else to make you famous. Never mentions any other people who have helped along the way. Um, Takes credit for what others are doing and feels sorry for herself and feels alone even in crowds. So this is the selfish audience. Let's take another look at a different type of audience. And this audience is the one that we are probably shooting for. And I say probably because I'm pretty sure that there's other audiences, but we're going to just talk about these two today. All right. We're going to talk now about the owner's audience. The owner's audience is an audience You seek because you own responsibility for these people, or bringing these people to the Lord, or owns the neighborhood and how it looks, or owns identifying the needs of others, and is responsible for providing solutions to meet those needs. I know that that's a lot of weight to carry, but there's something satisfying in this. Let's talk about the owner's audience. And number one, they're gifts driven. And when I say gifts, they use the gifts God has given them and talents that they've been given, the skills that they picked up along the way, because they're really driven by the things that they've learned, and they want to make sure that people are served with those gifts. Next, they are relationship driven. They get over their shyness or their boldness, because sometimes some people are too bold, to seek healthy relationships, to serve and be served. Notice I say it's serve and be served. You can't just always serve other people. Next is they're elevation driven. Elevating people to a higher level is always the ulterior motive behind meeting these people. And so they want to raise other people and what they do. They want other people to perform better. They want people to have a better life, and they pursue God with zeal. All right. Fourth, they're awareness driven. So they are aware of problems. They're aware of solutions to fix those problems, and they easily take the steps to implement those solutions with quality. They are also aware of themselves, and so self-awareness is very, very important. And they want to be able to get out of their own way, making sure that this group gets the right solution. They don't, the owner doesn't always have to be the one that provides the solution. They may have to get out the way and get somebody else to do it. And they welcome input and feedback. And so the awareness has to be high. And then the last thing is they're team driven. And that's an E. They see the bigger vision than themselves for the people they serve. So in other words, I can't do everything, and so I'm going to need some other people to help me help these people. And so they surround themselves with the right people to be able to help the group that God has sent them to. And if you notice this, God will make you great when you use your gifts that He's given you, when you seek relationships that He's sending you to, when you elevate other people, when you're aware of yourself as well as solutions, as well as the needs, and meet those needs, and you get that team, then you have a great audience. As mentioned before, in the customer problem statement, you must get out and speak to people. You got to talk to people all the time. And you have to understand his or her problem. The more you serve people, the more you understand their needs. So this translates to your gifts and talents being stretched or added to. You don't even know what gifts and talents that you need until you start meeting your audience, until you start serving people, until you start getting out and understanding their needs. they will give you feedback on not only your product, but they'll also give you some things that they need. So get to know your neighbors, get to know people around you, start serving them without any expectations. This gives you getting used to meeting strangers and understanding their needs and really getting used to getting solutions. Well, you may ask, well, how does serving my neighbors help me with my plumbing business or help me with my delivery business? Well, serving your neighbor does a couple of things. It widens your heart for caring for others and establishes a prayer list. So that's number one that God wants you to do. It also helps you get practice of great customer service. So the more you serve people, the better you are at customer service. It gives you an opportunity to solve problems in a safe environment. When you start serving your neighbors, people you know or you get to know, it's a safe way for you to make adjustments to be able to serve your customers very well. Um, Patience, kindness, and gentleness come from serving your neighbors. Um, Treat your initial audience, this is your initial audience, treat your initial audience as well as the ones that you're going to have later on. So your initial audience is your neighbors. The second audience that we're going to talk about is the broader audience. Let's find them. One reason businesses run stagnant and they fail is their product or service has not been tested. And so what I want you to do is be able to go out and understand if your product or service is valid with many people. If the idea is only yours, it gets hard to make sure that that thing is going to work. And so you want to make sure that you're not trying to leverage someone else's gift and leverage your own gifts and talents that God has given you. And you want to validate that the thing that you came up with, the solution that is yours, actually serves the people and meets their needs. So how do you do this? You want to leverage the learning from your initial audience, but you also want to refine your product and service with another group, and this is a group of strangers or a group of different people. So we're going to use a specific methodology to get feedback from a variety of people, and that is the STEP method. And so what I want you to do is meet strangers, I want you to meet thought leaders, I want you to have emotional support from your family and friends. And I also want you to seek professional organizations to take a look at what you've built in terms of your product and service. The STEP methodology will be able to help you validate if your product or service is strong enough to reach the masses. The remainder of your audience depends on your own heart. If your heart is not stretched wide enough to meet many different people, then you're going to have a small audience. But if you have a heart for God's kingdom, then God will himself provide you with a larger territory because he wants you to seek his kingdom first. And so he will go with you and he will grow with you. Okay? The next time we're going to talk about the vision God gave you and how to translate that vision into practical language. All right? Thanks a lot. Be well and serve well.